Welcome to the bunker.
Preppers, survivalists, off-gridders, homesteaders, and the like. Welcome to Top's Bunker, a podcast for preppers. Email shtf@topsbunker.com, website topsbunker.com. Don't forget to check the show notes on your podcast player for valuable links and extra info on this episode. I want to thank y'all for joining us. We've got a great show for you. Tonight, we're talking about fall season crops. Finally, the morning air is crisp again. The days are getting shorter, and although it's still warm or even hot during the day, most people are winding down their gardens for the year. And why not? With Labor Day and football just a few days from now, the summer is coming to an end. Kids are back in school. Grocery stores are already stocking up on Halloween candy. Before you know it, there'll be jack-o'-lanterns sitting on bales of straw on front porches and coffee houses pushing pumpkin spice lattes to passerbys. And yes, I'm a big fan of autumn. I love it. But our gardens don't. Or do they? You see, homesteaders know that fall may be the end of the summer growing season, but they are keenly aware that it's just another beginning for their gardens. Because when one door closes, another always opens. The start of this season is important if you want groceries in your pantry throughout the winter. It's all about planting cold hardy greens, root vegetables that thrive underground, and cover crops that rebuild the soil so next year's harvest is even stronger. And it's about turning challenges like shorter days, dropping temps, and pests looking for their last meal into opportunities for your family's resilience and abundance. If you've never planted in fall, this is your moment to start. Spinach, kale, carrots, radishes, garlic, and so many more. These aren't just crops. Consider them nutritious survival insurance. And while pests may be hungry and persistent, with the right strategies like organic deterrents, companion planting, and watchful management, you'll keep your garden thriving while others are shutting theirs down. From nasty bugs to cover crops, we'll discuss everything you need to know as preppers to begin fall season gardening. Let's get to it. I didn't have my camera going this morning. I was in the house and I had him outside with all the birds were out there and everything, and I see him like a cutter horse going back and forth. So I walk up to the window to see what he's doing, and there's a big old giant, biggest turkey that I've got bowed up, chasing him, going back and forth trying to get him. And I guess because he want to play, he's a puppy, and the turkey's like, we're not playing. You're gonna get eyeball popped out. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah, turkeys don't play, man. They're jerks.
Yeah, it looks like you're right on that, Jeremy. They're assholes.
Yeah, they are, man. Then they're people think that they're just basically big chickens out there in the wild. No. The jerks, they attack stuff. They attack people. They've attacked me before.
But they're so cute.
They're tasty, so but they're not. Have you ever seen their faces up close? It's golly.
They're not cute at all.
That's like people who say flamingos are pretty. Wait until you get a close-up view of a flamingo's face. They are not pretty in the face. They are
they're ugly.
Super ugly. So, yeah, turkeys have like really pretty feathers. That's about it, man. They got that big old nutsack hanging from their face, and it's just, I mean, they're hunted strictly for the challenge of it because they are, they're incredibly stupid animals, but they do have a really, really keen sense of eyesight. They can see insanely well. But yeah, I'm still sick to my stomach about having to destroy most of the garden. We were out there and I had just picked a whole bunch of green beans and we were doing something and Missy called me over and I was doing something and I looked down and I saw one walking and I was like, that looks like a bug that isn't good. And I took a picture of it with Google Lens and it identified it as a
Squash bug.
squash bug. Yeah. And then I started looking because I thought at first that they were assassin bug larvae, or the babies. And assassin bugs are bad for everybody. And then I took a picture of it with Google Lens and it identified it as a squash bug. And then as I started looking, I realized in the picture there was hundreds of them. And I started looking and they were everywhere. And 2 days before Missy and her cousin got back from PA, everything was fine. Everything looked normal. I didn't see any. The day after they got back, one of the honeydews was completely collapsed in.
Oh, wow.
The pumpkins had holes with this like kind of slimy sort of jelly stuff coming out of them.
Oh, yeah.
And my guess is that they went in through the vines and got into that honeydew, and that's where they manifested. And they basically just like came out of there and went and attacked everything.
Yeah, once they got full, they depleted that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to a dude at the farmer's market, one of my favorite farmer guys. I'll talk to him when we go. And we try to go every Saturday and grab a few things we don't have and kind of support the local guys. And this dude, he said the same thing, man. He's the same thing that's happened to, the squash bug thing has been happening around here. So neighbors got had to rip out all their crops because of the squash bugs. And then the horned worm, what do they call it? Anyways, the hornworm and then the blister. Nobody really noticed the blister bugs, but man, they are wreaking havoc on the tomatoes.
What do the blister bugs look like?
I sent a picture, or there's a picture on the Facebook page. It's just black. It's a black bug. It looks like a beetle.
Oh yeah,
they'll get in there and eat your tomatoes, man. And when I really know, I've noticed them. Like when I mowed one day, I was looking down and I looked down at my leg, and there was like 5 of them crawling at my leg. I was like, "What the hell is this?" And then I went to identify them, and I was like, "Oh, it's a blister bug. That's not good." I didn't know that they attack plants because it's the first time I've seen them on plants. So I started looking at them, and they were in the beds, and ended up, looking at them like something is eating. And I thought it was birds maybe pecking at the tomatoes. And I only mess with the really ripe tomatoes or when they first start to turn. And man, talking about just ruining nice fruit. I mean, I was letting this one go all weekend just so it would, start to turn color and get a little bigger and get fruitier and softer. And I was just licking my lips of a BLT.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I went to pick it, and it was next to another one that was kind of a greenish color. It wasn't ready yet, and they had bored in there on it and just hollowed it out. I was pissed. But yeah, they're pretty nasty. We started out with diatomaceous earth, did like 3 applications. Didn't really work out, and then man, I hate to admit it, but I went for the 7 Dust.
Well, 7 Dust, I mean, yes, technically it's a chemical, but it's one of the only. I think for me personally, if I have to go for a chemical, which I try not to do, it's going to be 7 Dust.
It's a lesser of the two evils. Yeah.
Yeah, you can use it up to a short time before you harvest, and it's perfectly safe. Up to that point, but
you should have seen those bastards run. Oh my God, they didn't like it. There was white covered bugs that were black had the white all over the back. Just run. They were dropping off the tomato plants and just running for their lives. Man, it was kind of cool. It reminded me of the time that I had squash bugs and I used pepper spray on them. And some organic gardener guy, I went to an organic gardening store and I walked in and I was like, "Hey man, I got these squash bugs. What, so you got anything for it?" He goes, "Well, I got some pepper spray." He goes, I'm like, I go, "Pepper spray?" And he goes, "Well, it's like pepper spray. It's like a pepper oil. It's a concentrate and you mix it with water and you spray it." He goes, "Get you one of those, pressure sprayers and go out, a gallon pressure sprayer and mix it with it." And oh my God, that was fun. And I had a bunch of, I mean, I had a big garden at that time. I mean, it was at my mom's house and I was managing it for the family. And yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Is that something you can make yourself?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bugs absolutely hate it.
I knew I was really into the organic thing and even thinking about going to the Riddell Institute in Pennsylvania and going to their vet program just to learn, the organic stuff, the way of the Amish basically is what it is. And
well, that diatomaceous earth, man.
It's more of the insects eat it and it grinds up their guts kind of thing. It's not like it doesn't work the same as I guess Seven Dust they'll eat some of that as well, but a lot of Seven Dust is uncomfortable to their
diatomaceous earth is not a poison. It's more like a crystalline substance in it. It just cuts them up really bad.
Yeah, it's like glass. It's like stepping on glass.
It's like glass, yeah.
And they'll eat it and stuff. So
it works its way down in the carapace of crawling insects, and it gets up underneath there. And because they can't move, because most insects that have a carapace, they're not articulated, so each piece is kind of moving independently. So like their thorax is connected to their whole body, and so those crystals work their way up underneath the carapace, and it basically just shreds them from the inside.
Yeah,
which I think is hilarious, and I hope they all die.
It's like taking out a tank, man. You don't shoot the side of the tank because there's armor there. You have to get up underneath it and to the sides, and there's places to get it. So it's just a matter of figuring it out.
We ran out, so we ordered some. We ran out, I guess, unexpectedly, and we ordered some, and it just takes so long for stuff to get here. I think it's coming in today or tomorrow. It'd be here, a big old giant thing of DE. Well, Rhonda ripped out all of those crops that I showed you on the video that had the squash bug. Ripped them all out, threw everything into a bucket, put it out by the driveway. I'm going to burn them. And then she went around to all the other plants and with gloves on and just started smashing anything she could find. That's what she did at lunchtime today. Smashing assassin bugs and squash bugs and beetle, anything she could find. Because I told her, I said, if these get out of hand, we got to burn the whole section of the garden. It's got to go down. And she didn't want to do that. So,
well, usually once you see them, it's too late for the squash bugs, and they're going to get your cucumbers, your pumpkins, watermelons, things like that. They're gonna just take those out. And the thing is, though, once you get them, man, you have them forever. It's the only thing you can do is burn them to get rid of them and just keep the spread of them and wait till next year. And then, and I've said it 100 million times, it's called pest management, not pest eradication, for a reason. You succession plant. You plant on different corners of your garden or in different areas with this. Don't plant, in rows because they'll take a row out quickly. Take all your viney plants and keep them separated. So if it does get one of them, you can rip that crop out, and then you got 2 or 3 more crops somewhere else away from it. So now I've seen a guy, Never Sink. He does a series of videos and trainings and stuff up in New York, and he uses a what's it called? It's like a flame, a garden flame, and he'll hit weeds with it and pests. So, and I think I've even watched him, like, he'll before he plants a row of stuff, go in and torch the soil just to kill all the bugs. And it's been a while since I've seen that video, but if I do remember right, he was planting his fall garden. And it was summertime still, and he had, pest pressure in his garden. So he was going through and trying to kill off everything he could in the meantime, so could be good practice.
Let's go ahead and start that. Jeremy had to jump off real quick to go figure out what's going on with that dog. When we say fall gardening, are we talking about, like, right now we're in August and fixing to go into September? So what are we on right now? Yeah, we're at the end of the month. Is this the time where you want to be transplanting or even seeding? Can you be seeding at this time? Because I think that they say you're supposed to be seeding fall crops like 8 weeks before the first frost comes or something like that.
The first step you need for your fall or winter garden is you need to figure out what you want to plant. Okay, so you need to do some research, and there's some different places to go out and some websites to go look at. One of them is the Old Farmer's Almanac. They have a nice planning calendar and we've talked about zones before. You got to figure out which zone you're in. And so there's a nice zone map up there, and we put it up there before on other episodes to where you figure out what zone you're in. Once you figure out the zone, then you can go back and backwards plan. Okay, well, if I really like corn, fall corn, or I like broccoli. So then you can backward plan, when do I want to plant it, or when's a good time to plant it? And so depending on your zone, you have a certain time to plant it. Like right now, there's certain stuff I should have planted in July. Other things I'm good now to plant. So in my zone, so you just have to figure out what zone you're in, and then go down the list and figure out what you want to plant, and then it'll tell you when to plant it. And that's all about prior planning for your garden. And you should be, if you're going to do a garden, everybody, the most popular garden is a spring and summer garden. So you plan those things, but if you want a fall garden, you have to figure out in the spring what you're going to plant, what you're going to rip out in order to plant for your fall garden, if that makes any sense for you. So there's some planning that starts a year out almost. So yeah, first thing you need to do is figure out what you want to plant, and then you backwards plan, find out when I need to plant it. And you can use the Old Farmer's Almanac is a good website. You got the county. I used Oklahoma County Extension offices, but there's always an ag extension office. Every county in the United States has an ag extension office. You just have to figure out. You can Google it. It'll come up for you, whatever state you're in. And then, of course, I talked about checking your zone. So if you have any questions, the best resource for any of this is call that county ag extension office. There's going to be somebody there that's going to be a subject matter expert for this, and they're going to coach you through it. So they're a great resource for you, and that's what they get paid for. So definitely get out there and use them.
For the total idiot,
yeah.
When you say reach out to these people, what step by step? How do you do that?
All right, so I go on the Googles and I Google Tulsa County Ag Extension Office. So I Google it up, and it'll pop up a number or a website. There's universities out there that partners with the local county offices to do these ag extension programs. And so you just call them up on the phone, the number they provide, or get in a chat room with them or whatever. It's just a matter of doing some research. So did that answer your question?
And then whoever answers the phone, say, I have questions about blah, 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 blah,
yeah,
blah.
And if it's a secretary or they don't know, they'll get somebody there. So like in Oklahoma, there's what they call a master gardeners program. And so it's about a year-long program. You go through and you learn all these great things about, flowers and vegetables, and you learn how to be the master. By the time that you're done with the program, you're a master gardener. Well, then you have a year of service that you have to provide for that. So you'll work at the county extension office, a couple days a week, or you'll do something on Saturdays or whatever it may be. You'll do something in service to that for that program. And a lot of times they're manning a phone tree or they're answering emails. So you're getting subject matter experts in these, different sections of subjects or whatever. And a lot of times, if they don't know the answer, they're going to go to the ag extension agent that's there and ask them.
Okay. So then now that puts it in perspective. So there are actual people out there whose jobs it is to answer these questions and help you with your area, yeah. your county.
And that's what they get paid for. So,
okay.
So then the next thing you need to do is prep your beds. So let's say you did get squash bugs and you did the things that we talked about earlier, and you ripped out everything and okay, what do I do next? I want to do some fall crops. I'm going to do spinach, and I'm going to do bok choy, and I'm going to do some brassicas or cauliflower, or whatever.
What would be good, let's say, for your area? Let's go with that.
Oh man, I like greens. I like to do greens in the fall and winter. I always
Like collard greens, mustard greens, that sort of
yeah,
thing.
lettuces, and they'll produce and eventually they'll do their thing for a while and they'll freeze out. And there's some techniques of extending your season, with some other things I can talk about later. But so I like the lettuce, the spinach, the broccoli, cauliflower. I've tried pak choi before. Didn't do too well with it. Kale. I love Russian red kale. I love that stuff. And I don't let it get very big. I like to make it about the size of a quarter to a silver dollar. And I'll just make a salad out of it. I'll put it in my smoothie in the morning. I just love that shit. And
we just planted the Russian red kale about a week ago, and it didn't do well at first because it was in that damn heat. But now it's cooling off, it's starting to pop up.
Yeah, and it loves rain, or it loves a lot of water too. So a little bit of fertilizer, not too crazy. A little bit of nitrogen for it. But yeah, I planted mine actually today, and it's some cilantro. I can get a short season cilantro here. So I'm going to throw some herbs in there. I'm going to do some, like I said, some of the things I already mentioned, and radishes and beets. Now that
root plants. Oh, okay.
So, and that's going to go into something I can talk about later about a cover crop.
I definitely want to get into the cover crop. That's important.
Yeah. So beets and radishes will help with that. So those are the things I like to do. And I mean, you guys can, talk about what you like to do, but those are a few things. I don't get too crazy. I just put some things in there, but I do mainly go heavy on the spinach and the lettuces, the cool weather lettuces, stuff like that. So, so now you've gone out there and you've figured out what you want. You got to prepare your beds. Okay. So what you want to do is inspect your bed, make sure that, all your irrigation's still working, your hoses aren't. Repair your hoses if you need to, buy new ones. If you have drip irrigation, check out your drip irrigation, make sure it's functioning well. And then, look at, if you're in a raised bed, look at the raised bed, make sure it's still in good order.
It's funny that you say that because all of our we don't have drips, or we have all hoses and sprayers and wands. And believe it or not, they wear out by this time. We went down to store and had to buy all kinds of new parts and fix them, repair them so they're not dripping all over the place and wasting water. They do get a workout if you're using your garden properly.
Yeah, and depending on your water, some places have hard water. That wreaks havoc on different. I've lived in places with hard water that some of my
clog up the nozzles.
Yeah, the nozzles last about a year. I mean, maybe a season. It just gets crazy. I like to do the quick disconnect because I don't like to buy hoses. So I'll do a quick disconnect so I can drag a hose from one place to another and do some things with it. But I prefer drip line hoses, the flat drips in gardens because it saves water. And in the wintertime, especially in the fall and winter, you don't want to spray the tops of your crops, with aerial type watering, because if you get
it's too cold, right?
The air is colder than what the ground temperature is, so you can ruin your crops. So use the drip lines. So that's a smart way especially the fall and winter stuff.
It's not soaker hoses; those are too slow. You're talking about the ones that actually drip.
Yeah, drip line, a better higher end. But I use the $10-12 soaker hoses too. That are
Oh, soaker hoses, really?
Yeah. Now they'll freeze up on you too. So when the ground does freeze, you got to watch that. But
a couple months from now,
yeah. So and there's some techniques in there with that too that I can tell you about. So so once you've inspected your bed, you want to remove any weeds. You get the seasonable weeds in there. You don't want them leaching off your fertilizer, your compost that you're about to put in the soil again. When you rip everything out and you're starting to go fresh again, or maybe it's a bed you have and you took out a crop or a crop's dead and you got a row there, then it's time to put some compost in. So just go out there and feed a little compost on top. Okay. After you remove the weeds, put this compost on, and then I use a broad fork if I can, or I till very just surface level till, maybe 1-2 inches down. I don't get too deep in there, and just till down a little bit so I can plant a seed. And I'm putting that compost putting back in what I've leached out over that season. That's a perfect time to use your compost.
Yeah, so a lot of those plants are going to suck up all that nutrients that you put in throughout the beginning of the summer and spring, but also rain and watering also dilutes all those nutrients as well.
Yeah, and I live in where the Dust Bowl happened, and I was fascinated about the Dust Bowl when I was a kid. I had grandparents who homesteaded that and great grandparents that lived through it, and I would ask them about it. Hey, what was this Dust Bowl? Did you live through it? What happened? And basically they over-tilled the soil. They went in and they planted crop after crop after crop after crop, and they didn't put the nutrients back in, so they had soil erosion. The wind came in, they had drought. They just set themselves up for the perfect storm to where the soil went foul. And I have areas on the land I have now that are still fallow. I mean, nothing's produced there because, and there's pictures of that same area from, I guess the 20s or teens and 20s or whenever the Dust Bowl came through, that was all sand. I have pictures of it that, I got from my great grandparents and stuff.
It's crazy.
And I can go into what I was doing to try to turn that over, but I'm just not getting grass to grow back in it as a Bermuda. So, but it's working out.
So you got to put a lot of fertilizers and stuff down if you want something to grow.
Yes. It's crazy. In this one little area. Now the rest of it, I got some low-lying areas that I have a native grass coming back in. It's called blue stem. We used to call it buffalo grass.
Buffalo
used to roam through this area and would eat it down. And there's areas on the farm growing up to where, it was, I'm a kid, but it was waist high. This blue stem buffalo grass. It grows up in clumps.
Wow.
So, but anyways, I digress. Okay, so now that we've inspected everything, we've removed the weeds, we've added compost, we've tilled it in or broad forked it in, which is better. Then you need to water deep. You need to, soak that area of that bed, if it's a raised bed, or soak that area and just let it do its thing and let it set for a couple days and soak that water in before you plant. And then you go in and plant your crops. Once you planted the crops and either in rows or whatever you do, or transplants or whatever you've got set up, then you water it in. Especially if you have seeds, you got to water them again. Some of your seeds you want to pre-soak to jumpstart the germination process. You can inoculate some of the seeds as well. I'm not going to get into that, but it's going to help you get faster into the process of this whole process of fall planting, because fall,
like the big seeds, you definitely want to soak the big seeds.
Yes,
it takes a while for them to get wet and back to life again.
And the fall you're a race against time, because at least fall here in my zone,
right,
is not very long. It could be a week, 2 weeks, a month is a long time.
I remember in Texas, one day it's summer, next day it's winter.
Oh hell yeah, yeah, it's like that. The last thing you really need to do is you fertilize. You want to throw down your fertilizer. You compost it already, so that's going to let you. It's going to get you through the first 30 days. But if you want to put a little additional in there, the two types of the two types of fertilizer I use for the fall plants, and right after I plant them, I'll throw down something that's higher nitrogen, because you want to get that kick started. You want to get the growth. You want to get the seeds going and get a stand on them while the ground temperatures are in the 70s ish. And in my state, I use what's called a mesonet, and it's in a few different states where it gives you, and there's just Google what the ground temperature is in your area. And a lot of seeds need to germinate at, some of them at 60, some of them at 70, some of it at 75, 80. So figure out what that plant needs, what ground temperature it needs in order to germinate. So right now I'm setting about 65 to 70, depending on, time of day here. So I'm good for allotted seed germination. Even some of the spring plants you can plant for a short season now. And then, so the fall crops, I want to use a 24, 4, 12 or somewhere in that area. But that first number is the nitrogen. So you want that number to be higher.
Now, what if that number is high? Like I've got all different types of organic stuff out there, but one of them I've got is a 20-20-20. The 20 is pretty high for the nitrogen. So the nitrogen is the first number. Then it's what phosphorus is in the second number, and then potassium. So even though potassium it starts with a P, it's actually a K on the scale. And phosphorus is the P, the middle one. So the first one. So if you have like 20-20-20, you're still getting 20 of the nitrogen, even if you have the higher other numbers. Is it okay to use that?
It depends on the crop. You got to look at the crop. If you want to fine tune everything, a good general, this is for a general planting for the fall. The higher nitrogen, 24-4-20, or excuse me, 24-4-12 is a good mix for your fall first fertilization. Now later on in the fall, you want to switch to a 10-20-10 because you don't want it to necessarily grow as much. You're wanting to fruit, or you're wanting to grow.
That's where the phosphorus comes in.
Yeah, and you're not going to get fruit out of lettuce, but you've got the stand now. You just need it to sustain. It's usually going to have its nitrogen in there. Now, keep in mind, if you put compost on your garden, it's going to be higher in nitrogen probably. So you might even be able to get by with a 10-20-10 for your fall and winter garden. But all I'll use over fall and winter for the most part after I compost is a 10-20-10. So, and it goes on my yard too. So if I'm doing my yard, I'll use a 10-20-10 over the winter time, and I'll usually hit it fall and then early spring. And then once you get that in there, water the piss out of it again. And people don't understand that in a fall garden, it needs just as much water as it does in summertime. You can back it off a little bit because of the evaporation that happens during the summer, but you got to keep that ground moist. And I tell people use that pinky test. You get next to the plant, stick your pinky in there. If you can get it down, to that first knuckle, then or to the first bend of your pinky, then that's a pretty good soil moisture test. So that's the steps in the fall gardening. It's not rocket science. It's just a matter of planning a little bit. You just want to get it. Planning is a key to it all, and knowing a little bit about each plant that you want to plant, and go out there and experiment. I've had some stuff I've never gotten to grow in the fall and the winter, and I've had spinach that I planted one spinach plant and I transplanted it in one of those pop-up hoop houses. I mean, it was like 5x5, and it was I won it off of one of those.
That's tiny.
Yeah, it's 5x5, but I won it off of one of those sites you go on and you bid for things like Deal Dash or Deal Dash? One of those bidding things. I got it for like 83 cents. Nobody wanted it. And so,
did you crawl? You had to crawl into it, or you couldn't stand up?
It wasn't very big. So, but I had about a 3-foot round spinach plant that I put in there, and it was so terrible because it was so big. It was bitter, but by God, it lasted all winter. So I one of those things. So I kept it alive all winter. Now the broccoli and the cauliflower didn't last, but that spinach plant did. So that's the steps that I had put together for the fall/winter gardening. But every time you go to plant, it's a good time to inspect your beds, inspect your planting plot, all your equipment, inspect them. Make your repairs. Check your hoses, check your, all the things that all your tools you're going to need, and then weed. Get the weeds out of there, and go out there and give your bed or your garden the best chance of making it through that season.
You have to also consider how long it takes for whatever plant you're planting to grow and then to fruit. Like like peppers. You obviously couldn't start pepper plants right now because they would be fruiting in the snow, so it wouldn't work.
There are some cool weather tomato plants out there.
What?
In my area, I've done it. So I looked at that, and I forget what zone it is up there in New Jersey and New York, southern like Pennsylvania through Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And I planted some cool, they call it cool season tomato plants, and they were actually pretty good.
Wow.
And if you like tomatoes, tomatoes and peppers are kind of my little pet thing. I like the plants. So if you play with different varieties, you can have tomatoes and peppers. Peppers not so much because they like heat, but you can get tomatoes from early spring to almost wintertime, depending on where you live. But you can get them to produce. Now, summertime, I don't have luck with keeping my tomato plants alive, but this time of year, when it starts to get a little cooler and kind of backs off of it, then they'll start going crazy with a little fertilizer. So, what
were you saying earlier about being able to extend your season?
Extending your season is basically, I'm going to cheat nature a little bit. I'm going to artificially make something or add something to the garden that's going to, cheat Mother Nature a little bit. So, and Jeremy has his hoop house or his greenhouse. That's a season extender. Stuff like row covers, using them in a raised bed. You can take PVC pipe, put some 6 mil plastic sheathing over.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's almost like little tunnels.
Yeah, it's like a miniature hoop house or a row cover is what they call them. 6 mil is a good thickness and it allows the sun to come through good. And what you're doing is you're causing, you're making a little greenhouse and you're extending that season out to where, when it gets kind of warmer days out there, if it's 70 out, well, inside that thing, it's going to be close to 90. So you might want to open it up. But, you want to
creating like a little microclimate.
You're making a microclimate. You're cheating Mother Nature a little bit. And,
well, we had our freeze last year, our first freeze. I remember it very well because I had a hoop house and everything on the outside, all my peppers on the outside, dead overnight. Like overnight,
yeah,
they just hit the ground. Everything that was inside the hoop house was perfectly fine. I was still producing peppers for a few weeks.
Yeah, it's good for that because it's just going to extend that season out. Hoop houses work great for that, or the row covers. You can also do it with they call them kolaches or kolach. I'm probably mispronouncing it.
Man, I love me some kolaches, dude. You get them down there in West Texas in one of those little stores.
Little Czech kolaches.
The Czech ones, yeah.
These are just like the top of a cake. I mean, it reminds me of something you put on top of a cake. The glass. It's just a glass, like half a globe thing you stick over the top of your plants, and it makes a little greenhouse over the top of the plant. The ghetto or the trailer park version of it, which I use, is milk jugs or, some juice jugs. So you take a milk jug, cut out the bottom of it, open up the top a little bit, take the little cap off, and you can keep them because you might need it when it gets really rainy or if it gets really cold to cap it off, but you just stick it over the plant, put some dirt around the bottom, and you got a little microclimate there. The last thing's a cold frame, and I'll let you guys look that up. I've done them before.
Did
buddy
just mute himself? What an asshat. He doesn't even realize what an asshat he is. Wait for it. He's about to figure it out. Just wait. A few more seconds should do it. 3, 2, 1. Ah, there he is. Do you feel better about yourself now that you've made us all wait for your asshattery? Can we all just get on with the show? Will that be okay with you? I should think so. Now then.
Okay, sorry.
You just got muted.
Yeah, you just I did a Jeremy.
Voice. Yeah. You're getting the voice.
So the last one's a cold frame. So the cold frame is usually made out of glass. You take a window pane and you stick it over a raised bed. You make a little, I don't know, if you got a I don't know, 6x8 frame.
I describe them as being like a glass coffin.
It's like a glass coffin, yeah, and it's good to make them at an angle. I've had to learn that the hard way. And don't stick it underneath your house to where the snow will come off the top of your house onto it. That's a bad idea. I thought I would. Okay, so I digress. I busted one year. It worked great. I had some nice little crops in there. But it snowed and went out there and looked. But when the snow started to melt, came off the side of the house and it crunched it. But my good idea was to take it and move it as close to the house as I could, because it would leach the heat off the house, the brick, And it worked great, man. I had some nice crop in there, and all of a sudden went out there one day and bam, all the snow fell off the house and crunched it. So there's that too.
I saw a gardener. There's one that I watch on YouTube. He's over in your area, Jeremy, and he has these 50-gallon black plastic drums, and he fills them with water, and he puts them like between some of his citrusy type plants and other stuff, and they heat up all day long with the sun, and then they burn off that heat at nighttime into the plants, and it kind of keeps everything warm in that area.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I have seen some people who have our greenhouse that I built is fairly decently sized, but I've seen some people with much larger ones, and they actually have a one of those smaller buddy heaters, and they go in the morning.
That's racist.
Behind them, I know, but
I'm kidding. Buddy,
I don't mean to heat you up, buddy. The brand Buddy Heater. It's just a simple propane, safe indoor heater. They'll crank that on for a few minutes, let the entirety of the greenhouse get nice and warm, get that warm air in there. They'll crank it off, and then as the day warms back up, if it does, they just let the windows open just a little bit, let some of that out, and then they close it back up in the evening, and it helps retain that heat on the inside. But my big question for y'all, and I know it's a problem here because our water table is very different than y'all's. What is your freeze line like? Because I know that ours is, once it gets to a certain point in the year here, it's almost impossible to get down in the ground.
Well, sounds like you're in a tundra type area. So with you're almost tropical out there. So we have what they call frost pockets. It's just a little low lying area on the opposite end of. So it'd be on a slope. So it'd be the morning side where the morning sun side is of the slope, where it doesn't get that afternoon sun to where it'll freeze up and stay frozen. So we have to watch for that, but we really don't get hard freezes. And we have something we call the Indian summer. It's a summer that it seems like it usually happens in December. We'll get 2 weeks of warm. It might get cold for a couple weeks, and the ground. We just don't really get a ground freeze. And honestly, a hard freeze. We hardly get them, and if we do, it's first part of February into January, and then by March, it's usually gone. So you're doing a fall garden?
We are going to try. And the good thing is we do have the greenhouse that I built, and it's as solid as it is.
Fort Knox.
It's really freaking solid, but where it's located, as soon as the sun peaks up over the house in the morning, it's hitting the greenhouse and warming it up. This time of year, the only thing that we're using it for, and we have the door open, is Missy's drying out flowers that she's gathering from some of the pollinators. She's harvesting seeds and doing that kind of thing. She's got trays out there with flower heads drying out, so she'll have the seeds.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, and next year I do want to try a little bit of chaos gardening, but I'm so distraught about what happened with all of the with all the damn cabbage bugs. It was a killer, man, just to pull up. And that's mostly Missy. That's all Missy did, those rows. Missy planted that stuff. She was out there tending to that particular area every day. And I was like, that sucks. That's really nice. So as soon as I saw them, I was like, we got to burn this whole area. We have to rip out everything and burn it.
Yeah, Rhonda had the same effect today. She was upset, but she was also very pissed off because how much money she spent on the seeds and the time going into it and everything.
It's heartbreaking. I mean, I was heartbroken for you guys, man, because
it wasn't even just seeds that we bought. These were actually seeds that we had harvested from previous plants and previous melons and stuff like that. These were pre-harvested seeds from something that we had already consumed.
Yeah, it's a hard work and all the sweat equity you put into it all. It's holy shit.
Well, I was going to say, because we're getting short on time, maybe we can talk about cover crops and what that is used for.
All right. Cover crops it's a really smart thing to do. All you're doing is you're putting back in what you took out from the season. So if you're in a situation where you're not going to do a winter crop or fall crop, and you're just going to start in the spring, fresh and going from there, you can plant certain crops in there that'll help put nitrogen back in the soil, keep your soil from, help the biodiversity of your soil. A lot of the cover crops will increase the bacteria and the fungi and all organic matter in your soil, helps the soil structure to where it'll hold water, aerate it a little bit. It suppresses your weeds. It helps the biodiversity as far as, your pests to come in there. The birds will be used to coming in there during the wintertime if they're not migratory birds. Different animals, if you need animals or care about animals coming in and feeding off of it. And your insects will be used to it as well. Some of the bees, once, wintertime, they go dormant or whatever, but, in late fall, early spring, when it's still weather's kind of good and the bees are still around, they'll be, and if you get an Indian summer, like I was talking about earlier, they'll come out and feed on it, on these cover crops, because a lot of them will actually bloom. But they also help in erosion as well. So cover crops are good for setting the stage for success for your next season garden. And some of the cover crops that you can use that are smart to use is a legume type of cover crop. And that's kind of the most popular one for, we call it green manure is basically what it is for your cover crops. So some of the crops are legumes. You got crimson clover is a good one. I've actually done that before. It's beautiful. It's nice color. It gives a lot of color to it. It's something pleasant to see during the winter. It'll overwinter for at least here, and it'll be there in the spring when it comes. Oh,
really? It'll come back?
Yeah, it'll won't necessarily all the way die out.
I see.
And if the weather, it depends on your weather too. If you get a hard,
and clovers are good for adding nitrogen, right?
Yeah, bees love it. It fixes nitrogen. It's just a beautiful. I love it. I don't know. It's my go-to, depending on what's going on. Hairy vetch. It was something that my grandparent.
Vetch. I never heard of that.
It's called hairy vetch. It's.
Can you spell that? Because I'm hearing something, but it's not registering correctly.
Hairy vetch, VETCH.
I was scared to Google it, so just
yeah, it might come up.
You might want to go incognito mode for that one.
It's great for your garden, but if you let it get out of hand, it'll wreak havoc. You can't even till it up. It'll gum up your tiller. I've had terrible problems eradicating it once it got out of hand. So
why do the old timers use it?
It's a great nitrogen fixer for the soil. I mean, if you can, and they would get out there and they'd plant it, and then they'd go out there and till it, not till it up. They'd go out and brush hog it, and then till it, and it didn't have a lot of problems with it. But when it gets invasive, when it gets out of the field, comes up into your yard, I mean, it's just a pain in the ass. So I don't like it, but it's good. It's a good practice. If you have a raised bed that you can manage really easy, it might be good to put in there. Another one is Austrian winter peas. It's I have not used this. I haven't really looked into it as much, but it's a winter pea that will actually make a pea. I don't know if it's edible or not. I don't know.
So they actually makes pea pods?
Pea pods, yes. I don't know if you can eat it or not. I'll have to look into that. But
because I know green beans will add nitrogen, but you can't grow them in the wintertime.
Yeah, this will overwinter. So a lot of, like in my area, it's great for overwintering. Now you need to check, and it's just Google your area and your zone to what the winter crops are. Ask your extension agent, hey, what's a cover crop for wintertime? There's two different types of cover crop, by the way. There's warm and there's cool. So the warm crops, if you wanted to not plant a summer garden, you're going on a cruise all summer, you're going to be out of town, but I want something in there to fix the nitrogen, you go for the warm weather. In the wintertime, if you're not going to do a winter one, you can do a cool weather crop. And the ones I'm talking about is the cool weather.
So your gardens can actually work for you while you're not there. That's great.
Yes, it's going to put all the stuff back in the soil that you've leached out of it, that your crops have taken out. Winter rye is a very good one. It's just a ryegrass that you can put in there. You mow it down in the spring, till it in, and it'll get in there and it'll break down in your soil.
Winter rye is like the greenest, most softest grass I've ever seen.
Could cause problems in your garden.
Well, it won't grow back?
It'll grow back, but you're tilling it in. You want to till it a little deeper than what, a couple inches. So it'll actually break down, but you can once you introduce it in there, it's going to be it's going to always be there.
You might be weeding in the cool months because winter rye, it pops up when it gets cool.
You're going to have that weed in the winter months. So now if you don't let it go to seed, then you're not going to have that problem as much. It'll still have its root, but, and that's a whole nother conversation, but
good to know.
Any of these things, once it starts to flower or go to seed, you need to automatically go into weed eater or whatever, or mower, and get rid of it. Get it off your garden. Get it off the soil, because once it seeds, it'll be there. And then the last one I want to mention is barley. Barley is good. Hell, you can go make some beer out of it if you needed to. I don't know, some bread, whatever. But it's a good nitrogen fixer. It's just going to put the good stuff back in the soil that you took out and set yourself up for success in the spring.
Yeah. And I was thinking about, we were considering like mustard greens and that sort of stuff. And then, whatever's left, just let it die off from the freeze, lay it down, and then cover it over with compost and leaves and stuff like that. Maybe even some plastic, like black 6 mil or something, just to let it rot over the winter. But there's all kinds of little techniques I've seen online of people doing different things with cover crops. I didn't realize, like you said, like the crimson clover might even make it through the entire winter. That's cool. I didn't know that can happen.
Yeah, in your area, it should, and it might go dormant and then come back. But once spring hits, the best practice to use is if you're in the ground, go ahead and mow it or weed eat it down once it starts, warming up. You start watching your ground temperature.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and try to get that stuff out of there, till it up, do the things you need to do. And you want to make sure you're tilling it up or getting rid of it about a month and a half before you plant. So that's part of your planning for your next year. You don't want to, the day before, till it in and then plant, because you're going to have that problem still. Go ahead, and the best practice to use is go ahead a month and a half out, till it. Go in there. You might even go in with your flamethrower and do your flame to your ground, your soil, and then, like you said, cover it. Now, before I would cover, I would go ahead and apply my compost before you cover it with your tarp or your black plastic. And if you use black tarp or black plastic, it's going to also start heating the ground up quicker, and you can come in and it'll make the ground temperature heat up in that area higher. So you're going to also cheat Mother Nature once again and be able to plant a little bit sooner. So a lot of people will do that. They'll rip that tarp up, and within 24 hours they're planting because they've got that heat in the soil.
That's a great idea. I like that. Yeah. So the just to wrap up, the garden is not dead yet, even though we're going to go into cool months. It's not dead. There's things we can do.
You can garden all year long. You just got to figure out how to do it. I mean, it's a little bit of education. I would definitely use caution when looking at the YouTubers out there, because some of them are good, some of them are bad.
And they might not be in your area.
And they're definitely not. I'm not in San Diego, so the dude who has these great ideas in San Diego,
right,
that his whole block is a garden now, doesn't work in Oklahoma. But go ahead and use your extension agent, that ag extension agent. Use them because they're a plethora of information. I can't spell the word, I just said it, but you got all that information right there at your fingertips. Let them help you through this process, and you can. There's no reason why you can't have, some kind of fresh vegetables all winter long.
My prepper brothers and sisters, while most people close the gate of their gardens for the last time this season, you'll keep growing and building strength, resilience, and independence for your family. Plant those cold hardy greens and root crops. Protect your soil with cover crops that will heal, enrich, and guard your land for the battles ahead. And don't let pests steal your harvest, because with diligence and smart management, you can outlast every challenge nature throws your way. It takes skill, practice, and discipline to be the best prepper survivalist you can be. Don't just sit back and watch the leaves fall this season. Plant something, protect something, secure something, because every seed you sow today is a promise of survival tomorrow. Stay prepped, stay happy. Thanks for listening, and good night.
I always try to take the long way home. Skip familiar places that I know. I always seem to find the open road. I'm looking for it everywhere I go. Hey, this is life in the badlands. Forget about the reason. Don't know what you're doing. But try to catch the feelings. You make me smile. I just stay a while. This is life in the badlands. This is life in the badlands. I'm always making friends along the way. So pack your bags and let's leave for the day. Take your worries, make them go away. Turn the music up and let's escape. This is life in the badlands. Forget about the reason. Don't know what you're doing. But try to catch the feelings. You make me smile. I just stay a while. This is life in the badlands. This is life in the badlands. So take the leap, help us see. Take some time out of reach. You and me, wild and free. Just believe and follow me. This is life in the badlands. Forget about the reason. Don't know what you're doing. But try to catch the feeling.